institution in California. And it's given on campus, and it's after a tour. It doesn't have a month, a weather, or a day.
So the students are not there?
Just parents.
I'm
Just
guessing
parents?
not.
Fall.
Okay.
It's in the fall.
It's a, yeah, I don't know.
It's in the fall.
It's a coffee club. We came to visit colleges. I don't know. Anyways. Am I ready?
Whenever
Your
you're
time? Well, all of you, I think you all have just been on the tour, is that correct? So you're not going on that next. My name is Heidi. I'm one of the assistant directors here in the office. There's two of us in the office that are a little special in that we work for the institution, but we don't physically work on campus most of the year. I'm actually based in Southern California, and a colleague of mine is based in Seattle. So you have a little bit of a unique perspective today. It's my understanding that most of you have students you're looking to be applying currently. So you're going to be, in the near future, filling out all those lovely applications to universities and colleges in California or in-state or out-of-state. My assumption is that most of you are probably the most familiar with the University of California system or the CSU system. So I'm going to try to help you navigate how we might be similar, how we might be a little bit different, as far as going about the application process. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with the A through G requirements and making sure that you're getting all of those completed and having the right amount of science classes for your students and all of those sorts of things. That's a great place to start, because if you are finishing those A through G requirements, odds are you're going to have completed art requirements as well. We don't have a set list of requirements that has to be completed. There is not, you're not going to go online and see you must have this class in order to be eligible to apply for Pacific. Kind of a baseline is, as long as your student is fulfilling all of the criteria in order to graduate from the school that they're attending, odds are they're going to be fulfilling the criteria in order to attend Pacific. Excuse me, as I have coffee going down the wrong throat. Excuse me. Something that I have found coming from a public institution myself, I actually attended a large public institution and then came to work for a private school, was that it is the same amount of opportunity that I found myself having at a public institution, but in a lot different environment. So for students that are looking for that kind of communication with their professor, making sure that they can find them, making sure that they're going to have internship opportunities, opportunities to do a study abroad, opportunities for even just more of a one-on-one interaction with professors. That's definitely something that you're going to be able to find at Pacific. However, you're not necessarily going to have to deal with the same amount of students on campus as you might at some of the other institutions in California. As far as, again, the A through G requirements, I just wanted to mention those once more, because I know a lot of students are very concerned that if they don't have a certain amount of chemistry, they're not going to be able to apply to Pacific, and that's definitely not the case. So what you're going to want to do is just have your student go online. It's free to apply. You're going to go onto the pacific.edu website, and there you're going to find the application for the Common App. You're going to find a link to the Common Application, and you're going to also be able to just go ahead and apply through ours. Excuse me. Ours as well. Not a good time for a coughing fit. I might. Thank you, parent number one. Thank you for that. You're going to be able to apply through our website there. Again, there is no application fee. Your student's also going to want to do an essay. They're going to want to ask their high school for transcripts and go ahead and have those sent to us. And then when they take the SAT, they can just fill out, put Pacific on there, and then College Board will just directly send us the test scores. So that'll be sort of the easiest way to go about that. If you want to do the Common Application, if you're looking maybe at other private schools that happen to be on the Common Application, that's a very easy thing to do as well, so you're welcome to do that. The next question that I usually get, at least from the parent standpoint, is When you're a private school, we were sort of looking at public schools because they're a little bit less expensive than the private school. And while we do come with a little bit of a price tag, we do also have another way to go about getting financial aid that sometimes makes it as affordable or even more affordable than a public institution. Many of you are probably familiar with FAFSA. So you're going to also be filling that form out as well. You'll be filling that form out online. That's going to make you eligible for any sort of state-based, federal-based. That's where you're going to want to start, is the FAFSA form. We also do offer a number of merit-based scholarships. So that's up to $15,000 potentially that your student's going to be getting towards the education here at Pacific. Now, we only have one scholarship that you have to apply for. All other merit-based scholarships, your student's going to apply. If they are accepted, automatically they're going to be reviewed for that scholarship. The Powell Scholarship is the scholarship that your student's going to specifically need to apply for. If after reviewing the applications, we want to invite that student to campus for an interview, then we will do so, and then from the interview, that's when we'll be offering the scholarship. So it is a slightly different process than some of the other merit-based scholarships that you're going to see listed there. Yes?
You guys don't have any full ride scholarships for students?
The only full ride option would be if you're a recruited athlete, then we definitely have a little bit higher options for you, but we don't have a full ride academic scholarship. We used to have a residual valedictorian scholarship. We no longer have that anymore. That was not a full ride. So that $15,000 mark is going to be the best bet.
We're not citizens, what do we do?
You contact Kathleen Chris, who is our international counselor. Now, the process is very similar. The only thing that we're going to need a little bit extra documentation, but you can definitely go ahead and still find all of the application items that you need on the website. If you have specific questions about maybe how financial aid is going to work a little bit differently for you, if you want to just stay after, maybe we can go ahead and talk about that afterwards. That's definitely a possibility. Yeah.
Question with regard to my kids' test scores. Our institution lists it on the transcript, so if I give you an official transcript and the test scores, his SAT scores are on there, would you accept that, or do you still need official test scores from college for it?
Well, the only thing with that is it may not have every single time that they took the test.
Oh.
And we do like to see every time that your student has taken it, be SAT or ACT, because what we will do is actually put them up against each other, see which one is higher than the other, and that's what we're going to use for financial aid purposes and then also for admission. So I would just go ahead and make sure that you send them as well, just so that we have the biggest pool to look at as far as test scores are concerned. Another thing as well that brings me to kind of a good segue is as far as test scores are concerned, we do look at the verbal and the math separately as far as the SAT is concerned. Now we're not looking at the writing section. So many of you are familiar with that writing section because your student needs it for some other institutions, but we actually don't look at the writing, just the verbal and the math. Also, let's say your student took it 4 times and they did really well in the verbal section at one time, they did really well in the math section, a completely different test time, we'll actually kind of do a mix and match. So that's another reason to get all the test scores in. Another question I get asked about, is my student going to be able to get a job? So if we're able to figure out this financial aid thing and it works out, student comes, they graduate after 4 years, and are they going to move back home? Because we don't want that to happen. So we do have about a 90% placement, and what that does mean is your student may be about 6 months or so after graduation. Of the students that we've gotten information back from, 90% are either working or they're in some sort of graduate school. So that could be they decided on a master's degree, they went on to maybe a professional program, medical school, something of that nature. So yes, odds are definitely very good that your student is not going to be moving back in. So you can look forward to that. My cousin actually, she had a job offer December before she ever even graduated. So she never even had that lull kind of having to look for work after graduation. She had one kind of ready to go for her graduation. And that is something that the university provides. They do provide assistance with students as far as finding jobs, resume writing, interviewing skills, and if you're doing an etiquette dinner or something of that nature, they'll put on mock etiquette dinners on campus and sort of give the student an idea. Here's how you're going to want to interact with a potential employer when you're having an interview. So those are other things that the University of Pacific does provide as well. I'm sorry. The next thing I want to talk about was housing. There are some institutions where housing might be a little bit harder to get than others. We actually require that students live on campus because we require it, we guarantee it as well. And our residence halls, were you able to see a room when you were on the tour, or at least kind of walk through some of the buildings maybe? Our residence halls are co-ed. Now some are co-ed by floor, some are co-ed by room. Not that the roommate will be of the opposite sex, or that the people next door will be of the opposite sex. And then we also do have a single-sex floor, all female, and then all male floor as well. Our bathrooms are not co-ed. I get that question a lot as well. So we do have male bathrooms and female bathrooms. And we do allow students to have a little bit of a varied living environment on campus. However, you might have heard about suite-style living arrangements or apartments that we have on campus, and those actually won't be available to your student until they're a junior or a senior. So, are there any housing questions or?
How does the food work?
Food works in that on a debit system. So it's changed a little bit from years past, where it was you had a certain amount of breakfasts or a certain amount of lunches, a certain amount of dinners that might have come with a meal plan. Now it's you have a dollar amount. So you have X amount of dollars, and pretty much everything in the residence hall dining hall is then subtracted out. So an apple is 30 cents, or a soda is $1, however it might be. And there is a running total, so the student will know, okay, I have 1 month left until break, I should be here, and I have $1,000 left, or I have $5 left, whatever it happens to be, to kind of give them an idea as to how to gauge things. Yes?
I have a housing question.
Mm-hmm.
My family friend, their daughter and my daughter would prefer to be roommates. Is that possible?
It is. If they both set on their housing form each other's name, then the housing department can actually match students together. But both people have to put the other person on the housing form in order to have that happen. And a lot of times students will go ahead and do that, and then they'll get to orientation, maybe they'll meet a new person or something of that nature, and they decide, oh, maybe I do want to room with someone that I don't know. And then they can go ahead and change that as well if that works out. Any other housing questions? Okay. The last thing that I wanted to talk about really quickly, when I was talking about internships, I just also wanted to mention our study abroad program. I know a lot of students are interested in that. You may not be as interested for your student to go abroad, but that is also an option within the internship possibility. You can do some of your internships abroad, or you could do a standard abroad program, and all of the classes, you'll know what that transfer is going to be before the student comes back. So they're not going to spend a semester in Prague and then come back and find out, oh, nothing transferred, and I'm going to have to start all over. I lost an entire semester. So that is something that will be taken care of in advance, and it also is a part of the financial aid package. So in many cases, it'll cost the same for the student to go abroad as for the student to stay on campus. Some of the programs will have a caveat where you might have to pay for the plane ticket or something of that nature. So then it does get to be a little bit expensive just because you are adding on a little bit of travel cost, but the tuition and everything will stay the same. Aren't any other questions? If you'd like to stay after, then we can go ahead and talk about international students and how that works out. Otherwise,
No, I'm undocumented.
Huh?
I'm undocumented. I'm not international, I'm undocumented.
Okay, well then we can talk about your undocumented status afterwards. You sounded so angry about being undocumented, I wasn't sure.